Hey, it's your average consumer. I just want to let you guys know that this channel was made with the average consumer in mind. Alright, let's get to another tech video. Hey, what's going on everyone? It's your average consumer. Today I'm going to be doing a comparison video of the Street by 50, the SL300 sold by Ludacris, and the Beats by Dre Studios. Alright, let's not waste any time, let's get right into it. Now the first thing we want to look at between the three of these is the size. Here we have the Street by 50 looking a bit bigger than the rest of them when laid out like this. When you tilt them forward a bit, the SL300s look a bit bigger from the front, sort of, when it comes to the headband, but the ear cups look huge on the Street by 50. And the Studios also, they're still quite big as well, but in comparison to the others, they seem a bit thinner at the headband area, and they also have thinner ear cups compared to the other two as well. But mind you, these are still really big headphones. I still think the Studios are really big, but it's just that in comparison to these, it looks a bit smaller, especially in comparison to the Street by 50. One thing about the Street by 50 is the ear cups are a bit different from these two. The Street by 50 have completely circular ear cups, and what that means is it's going to be a little more difficult for your ear to get completely inside. As you can see, these are made to kind of fit the ear shape, as it has like an oval shape, and the Beats Studios also have that oval shape. But the Street have this round shape, so it kind of gives your ear a little less room inside, but it does a good job covering the entire ear, as do these as do the other two. But it just might be a little more difficult for these to get around the ear. It might squish your ear a bit compared to these. And since we're on the topic of form factor, the one thing I like about the Beats Studios and the SL300s are the fact that they can bend in. They're foldable headphones. Unfortunately, the Street by 50, this is what you see is what you get. You can't really do anything with them, and this makes carrying this around a lot harder, as you can only put this in a pouch, and when it's in the pouch, there's not much more you can put in a book bag or a purse or something maybe. But these are just really so big that they'll be taking up a lot of room in there. And also that means that the only real other carrying place you can have is around your neck. And these are really big. They seem a little clunky on when you're outside. They just look really huge walking around with these on your neck. Even though these are a little larger, luckily they come with carrying cases that you can put them into and clip them onto like your book bag or whatever you want to clip them onto. So I gotta give bonus points to these two as far as form factor goes, because they're more convenient. The Street by 50 really aren't convenient, especially considering their size, and their portability just is a no-go for me compared to these two. Now another thing about, since we're still on the actual looks and feel of the headphones, one thing to note about 50 that trumps these two is the fact that this is a very durable pair of headphones. As you can see here, I can bend them apart, do this and that, no issues, no problem whatsoever. I'm not even scared doing this, because these are built really tough. So these seem like they're gonna have some really good longevity in the future. Where as far as these two, they can bend a little bit, but I'm like cringing right now even doing this little bit. I feel like these can snap at any moment, especially considering it's made out of plastic and it feels like it's a little hollow on the inside. So I wouldn't want to risk bending it or, you know, anything. I wouldn't want to test this durability too much. And the same can be said about the Beats Studios. Luckily, I tried bending them out a bit and they can move out a little bit, but I wouldn't test it too much like I would with these, because they do feel like they're you're putting a lot of pressure on them when you do this. So you can bend these super slightly, but nothing. I wouldn't even go beyond this. It's just, you can feel that it's too much pressure on it. So the Street by 50 definitely trumps these two as far as flexibility and durability. So hats off to the Street by 50 in that regard. Now, also another thing about these two headphones compared to this one is these require batteries. The Beats Studios need batteries to power its noise canceling and to basically power itself. You can't listen to any music if you don't have this turned on, and if you don't have a battery or your battery's dead, that means these are not going to be working for you until you get a new a new battery inside. Luckily, with the SL300s by Ludacris, you can put in a battery and use the noise canceling feature, but you don't have to have this on in order to listen to music. You can listen to music regularly without any kind of power being used. So that's definitely a plus here. So, and these require no batteries whatsoever. It doesn't have noise canceling. It has what they call passive noise canceling, and that means that there's no switch or anything to turn noise canceling on, but since these cover up your ears entirely, they're going to block out some sound, just by pure, logic. If your ears are covered, you're not going to hear anything, or you're not going to hear much around you. So that's what they call passive noise canceling, and that's what these have going for them. Now, one thing I do have to say I like about the Street by 50 in comparison to these two is actually the fact that it doesn't use any batteries, and I don't have to worry about batteries running out at all compared to these two. I'm always finding myself leaving the switches on for the noise canceling features on these, and it really just leaves a bad feeling when you come back to your headphones and then you see you've left them on for hours at a time when they were just put away. So that's definitely something. This will have no worries as far as whether your battery is going to survive the day or when it's going to die on you or anything like that. So definitely a couple of points for this, but you can't really knock them for having the feature, but it just sucks that sometimes you'll forget to turn off the switch. It's just something to keep in mind when purchasing these. You just want to make sure you're able to handle being responsible for the switch coming off and not draining the battery. But I really want to tip my hat off to the SL300s because it adds the feature, and you can pick and choose whether you want to have the noise canceling or no noise canceling. So it's like the better of the two. So I think that's really a bonus for this. And also when you use the noise canceling feature, it gives a tremendous boost in sound quality to these headphones as well. As far as being comfortable, I would have to say that the SL300s also win in that regard because they're just the material is just really nice. It's really cushiony, and you can the material is really nice and really cushiony, and the ear cups are just really soft. And when you have your ear inside of it, it kind of gives it an on-ear, over-ear feeling. It has the inner part of the ear cups are going to be pressed onto your ear as well as sealed in with the outside ear cups. So that definitely gives a lot of bonus points. It gives it a great feel. The second place I would have to say would be the Beats Studios. Some might find it a little tight maybe. I found it slightly tight. Not too much pressure or anything like that, but someone might find it slightly tight. I found it a little myself, but these are still very comfortable. I'd rate them in second place as they have the really nice cushion, and they really just fit the ear really well. Whereas for the Street by 50, they're still very nice, but because we're ranking them amongst all three of them, I would have to give this third place as it does not exactly fit ear sizes well. Our ears can fit inside of it with no problem, but it doesn't it doesn't have the shape of the ear, so it can lead to a little squishing of the ear inside of it instead of just being itself inside. Now, as far as other features, I already went into the fact that these are foldable. These two are foldable and this isn't. These two have noise canceling and this has passive noise canceling. There really isn't too much else, but One thing I do like about the Soul by Ludacris is that when you have the noise canceling powered on and you're using battery, you can use this little neat feature to turn on this light around the logo. And you know, it's just a little bonus. Nothing that these two would lose points for or anything, but it's just something that gives this an extra point, if you catch my drift. So that just gives this a little boost. It's a nice little neat feature. Some people probably would never use it because they're in fear of draining the battery, but you can't fault them for adding something that wouldn't, it only make this better. It wouldn't hurt it at all. Also, as far as little features go, the Beat Studios also are able to mute the volume, mute the music that you're listening to or whatever audio you're listening to by pressing the little B here. So that's also a neat little feature that the Beat Studios have. And as far as features for the Street by 50, there really aren't any. These are really just like a standard pair of headphones with just some great durability. I would say the durability could be a feature because, you know, this is some amazing stuff. But it doesn't do anything outside of the ordinary like these two do. Now, of course, we're going to want to talk about the sound quality of the headphones. And if I were to rank them, it would have to go like this. The SL300s, the Beat Studios, and then the Street by 50. Now, this is really surprising because the SL300s aren't really publicized like that, and you don't really hear much about them. But the SL300s have the greatest sound quality I've heard amongst the three of these, and it's just really surprising because I feel like it's a random pair of headphones compared to these two, as you know, the Street by 50 is getting really popular and Beats is Beats. So I think that this is really good. When I first listened to it, I was really taken back at how good it sounded, and I was just really impressed overall, especially when you're using the noise canceling feature, because as I said before, it gives a really great boost to the sound quality. So with the noise canceling on, these are just some amazing headphones as far as sound. And the Beats are what you would expect. They're really good. They deliver they deliver well on bass as well. These deliver well on bass too, but these deliver really well on bass. They sound really crisp. When you're listening to them, the noise canceling really cancels out any other sounds and really helps you to focus on the music and really hear everything and not have to hear anything else on the outside. The Street by 50 were the least impressive to me. They sound good in general. Overall, they sound like a nice pair of headphones. They were lacking on the bass side for me, especially compared to these two. They were they weren't strong on the bass. And it was very disappointing because it advertises that it has some special kind of bass. I forget what it's called, but the special bass I didn't really hear any of that. So it was a little disappointing because I listen to a lot of bass heavy songs. But if you're someone who isn't into a lot of bass but still wants good sound quality, I think you might want to go with these over these two because these are very bass heavy. So if you're looking for a nice pair of headphones where the bass isn't too heavy but it's definitely there, these might actually be really good for you. Now, as far as these two are concerned, I would rank this above the Studios marginally, not really that much over them, but it definitely is a bit better to me. And maybe it's the surprise factor that it's, you know, Soul by Ludacris, but I definitely feel that through my experience that these are better as far as sound quality goes. Now, as far as sound goes, where a big problem for the Studios are that they leak. The sound leaks like crazy. Someone right next to you will definitely hear your music if you're listening to it next to them, if you're close enough. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. These leak terribly. These are like the worst out of all three of them. But these don't leak too badly, but at high enough volumes they can leak. These aren't that bad as well, but given enough volume they will leak too. But I think that can be said about any headphones really. If you max out the volume, you'll pretty much hear it, unless it's like some in-ears or something. But these are giant speakers on your ears. Of course, people will hear it at high volumes. I know everything seems to be going against the Street by 50, but one thing it does have over these guys is the price range as well. The price range is $249.99, and these are both $299.99. So you're looking at $300 versus $250. And I do think these are comparable to these two, as it's just lacking on the bass. So I do think that that's a bonus right there. You're saving 50 bucks. But honestly, if it were me, I would just shell in the 50 bucks or wait till I can afford it and go for something that I can be sure will have a bit more of what I'm looking for, which is bass. Now I'm just going to kind of show you guys what it looks like to have the headphones on, because these are really big, and considering that they're so big, you're definitely going to want some insight on how big it is, especially when you're going to be wearing these outside. Alright guys, so now I'm going to show you what the headphones look like on, and we're going to start off with the Studios. When they're on, they look like this. Like I said, these are the smallest of the group. As you can see from the side here, this is what it looks like. And when you have it around your neck, it's about this big. Now I'm going to show you guys the SL300s. As you can see here, these look a lot larger, especially because the white makes it seem a bit more prominent. It makes the width seem more prominent. And you can see it from the sides. And then when they're around the neck, this is what it looks like here. And then moving on to the Street by 50, these really come out on the sides. I don't even think the camera does it justice on how big it really is. But these are how they look. And when they're around your neck, it looks about this big. So these are they're all pretty big headphones, but in order of biggest to smallest, it's the Street by 50, SL300s, and then the Studios. And that's pretty much it for the comparison, guys. If I missed anything, please feel free to comment below and ask me. I'll be sure to get back to you shortly. As you all know, I answer all my questions, and I try to do that relatively quickly. And if you like this video, please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. This is your average consumer. Peace.